Hello, math magicians. Here are your notes for lesson 1.2. Lesson 1.2. And I'm going to show you or review with you all the steps for solving multi-step equations. Okay, so you should have done this, quite a bit of this, in pre-algebra. And my job today is to remind you of the steps and to go through a couple examples for you. Alright, so let's jot down the steps first in case you've forgotten. And it'll also give you a nice little guideline on how to attack these equations. So the first step is to simplify each side of the equal sign, or each side of the equation. Simplify each side of the equation. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that you might have to use the distributive property. Remember the good old distributive property? Well, you'll probably have to use it today. So the distributive property, it's actually called the distributive property of multiplication with respect to either addition or subtraction. We'll just call it distributive property for short. This also will involve, or possibly will involve, combining like terms. Combining like terms. Now hopefully you remember, when you're adding and subtracting terms, they have to be like terms. You can only add and subtract like terms. And I'll go through some examples to help explain that. Alright, once you're done simplifying, which means you've distributed, you've added like terms, your next step, step 2, is to undo or unwrap the problem. Undo or unwrap the problem. So your job is you're looking for the value of x so that the equation is actually true. And so you're kind of undoing the problem, so you're going backwards, which means you would do opposite of the order of operations, because you're going backwards. You're undoing it instead of actually simplifying it. You're going to unwrap it. So you're going to go opposite of the order of operations. You'll go opposite of the order of operations, which means you will add or subtract on both sides first. You'll either add or subtract on both sides first. So you'll take care of the adding and subtracting first. And then your last step will be taking care of either multiplying or dividing. Okay, so there's our checklist. Those are our steps. Now I'll take you through a couple examples and hopefully clear up any confusion that you might have. Okay, so let's go through a couple examples, and hopefully that's enough. And if you have questions, you can stop the video and rewind and watch it again. And also you can ask me for some help. Alright, so the first example, 5 plus 3 times the quantity of 2x minus 4 plus 5x equals 20. Okay, so the equal sign is like your balancing point. So a lot of times I like to put a dotted line through there. You don't have to, but I think it helps sometimes distinguish between the right side of the equal sign and the left side of the equal sign. Okay, now our first step, if you remember, was to simplify each side, and that might involve distributive property. So hopefully you recognize right here is distributive property because we have a number right next to parentheses, which means multiply, and inside the parentheses we have two terms being either added or subtracted. Okay, so inside the parentheses we have addition and subtraction, and we have a number right next to parentheses that's multiplied. That's distributive property. So here we go. I'm going to write 5 plus, and now you take the 3 and you multiply it by not only the 2x, but also by the subtracted 4. So 3 times 2x is 6x, and then 3 times the subtracted 4, or it's kind of like a negative 4. 3 times negative 4, or 3 times the subtracted 4, would be a negative or a subtracted 12. And then bring down the 5x. Just keep everything lined up. Keep the equal sign lined up and the 20. Alright, now I'm supposed to add like terms. Like terms have the same variables with the same exponents. And you're just looking at one side at a time. So I can add the 6x and the 5x. And the other like terms are the 5, and that's a minus 12. Because you take the sign in front of it. Alright? So let's do the x's first. The 6x plus the 5x is 11x. And then the 5 and the minus 12 is actually negative 7. So I'll just write minus 7. And bring down the equals and the 20. Alright, so that's the simplifying. And again, I hope you remember that from last year. Now I'm going to solve, and you take care of the adding and subtracting first, which is the opposite of order of operations. So the opposite of minusing 7, the opposite of subtract 7, is add 7, and you show it on both sides. Bring down the 11x. The minus 7 and the plus 7 disappears. On the other side, you'd have 27. And then to get rid of a multiplied 11x, I'll divide the 11. And there's my solution. X equals 27/11. And that's good enough. You can leave it improper. Alright, we'll try one more example. Okay, here's a second example. 1/6 x minus 5/6 x minus 3 times the quantity 4x plus 1 equals 15. Alright, I like to divide the problem, so I only look at one side at a time, so I'm going to look at the left side first, and I'm looking for distributing, and right here is distributing, because in here I have addition, and here I have a number right next to parentheses. So I'll bring down the 1/6 x minus the 5/6 x. Now I'm distributing a negative 3. You take the sign in front of it. And a negative 3 times a positive 4 is a negative 12x. So you can just write minus 12x. And then a negative 3 times a positive 1, negative 3 times positive 1 is negative 3. So you can just write minus 3. And then bring down your equal sign and your 15, keep it all lined up. Alright, we're looking for like terms. These first three are like terms because they all have x, just a plain old x with no exponents with it. Okay, that would give me the first two. 1/6 take away 5/6 is negative 4/6. And then I still have to worry about the minus 12x and the minus 3. I think I need a common denominator here. Actually, I need to reduce this one. 4/6. They can both be divided by 2. So let's make that negative 2/3 x. And then I'm just copying the rest of the problem. Now since I'm trying to subtract here, and we're dealing with fractions, then I need a common denominator. Remember, I can only add like terms. I'm not looking at this one. It doesn't have an x. So I need a common denominator, which would be 3. So this is going to turn into 36/3. Alright. Now I can finally put these like terms together. Negative 2/3 x minus 36/3. I'm losing, and I'm losing even more. I'm a big loser. I would have lost 38/3. That's the simplifying right there. That's just simplifying. Now I have to finish, and I'm going to solve it. I think I need to go to the next page. Alright, now I need to unwrap it. Unwrapping means go opposite of the order of operations. So you get rid of the subtraction first before the multiplication. Opposite of order of operations. So the opposite of subtract is add 3 to both sides. Bring down your negative 38/3 x equals 18. And now to get rid of this multiplied negative 38/3, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. 3 over negative 38. Do that on both sides. On this side, we cancel, and we cancel, and we get an x. On this side, I think I'll write 18 over 1. 18 and 38 can both be divided by 2. 2 goes into 18 9 times, and 2 goes into negative 38 negative 19 times. And now you just multiply straight across. 9 times 3 is 27. And then 1 times negative 19, negative 19. And there's your solution. Alright, if you have questions, you can rewind and watch this again. Or pause it. You know, when you watch it again, you can pause it if I went too fast. Or you can ask me questions. Alright, good luck.